Hello everyone, my name is Kate Marshall. The name of my channel is called Inked Paper Art, and today is day 127 of 365 days of junk journal ideas. Today I'm going to do a short little video showing you a bunch of different ways to use doilies in your junk journaling. So we're going to have some projects that we make together, and I'm going to show you some previously made projects that are already decorated, and we're going to be using these paper doilies in all of our projects. So we're going to have lots of things to talk about today. Let's go ahead and start off with this one. So this one here, first of all, paper doilies can be found in a variety of places. Most of the ones I use are vintage or something along those lines. They do have new paper doilies. If you look at like party supply stores or something like that, you'll find them. And so paper doilies come in a bunch of different patterns. This is one of my favorite ones because it has so much usable space for collaging. The center, instead of one like this where it is all white paper in the center, this one has all usable little doily bits. So I like that. And so we're going to work with them in a couple different ways. So this one is great for collage. These ones, also you could use them in collage, but you might want to, tear off some of this white in the center. The first is the easiest way. Most likely you have seen me put these paper doilies in a junk journal, just folded in half like this. So I just match up the sides, fold it in half, and then I'll sew it into my signature of my junk journal just like this. So it's sewn in and in the center, and it just, flaps around as a little cute decorative page in a journal. That's idea number one. Super simple. We've all probably seen that, but for new people, there's that. Second thing I want to do is I want to take a doily and I want to glue it down to some kind of, paper that will strengthen the doily and at the same time give us writing space, decorative space, all that kind of stuff. Doilies also come square if you are looking for one that you want to fold over and have a square page. So they do come square. They come in all different patterns and shapes and sizes and different colors, different embossing. This is also one of my favorite vintage ones to use. So look around for vintage doilies. I do sell them here from time to time in live sales too. But let's go ahead and talk about idea number two. Idea number two is going to take, I always run out of room on my desk. It's going to take either printed pages, digital pages is what I'm trying to say. And if you're going to do this with a digital page, these are misprinted ones where you probably won't be able to tell it through the camera, but the printer head had a little tiny clog in it, so there are some streaks. So you can use, off printed pages for this project. You do want something double-sided. So I have two double-sided digitals. We're going to use one of those. I also have some very thin dictionary pages. So if you have any type of thin paper that is too thin to use as a page in a junk journal, such as like newspaper or newsprint or something very fragile, dry, old paper, you could use that for this project also. So these are all very thin, little crinkly pages. This is a piece of craft paper. Again, it's very flimsy and thin. You could use, this is Italian paper, straw paper. And this is coffee dyed paper. Anything that's double-sided, so it could be like a solid color pink paper, and you just use it because you can see both sides have some color. Music paper is another good option. Anything that's double-sided works, right? So there's that. Let's go ahead and pick out a couple doilies, and we're going to take the doilies and we're going to glue them all down onto our dictionary page. Let's start with that guy. And so I'm going to glue this completely down on here, and then we're going to move to the next step. So you're going to want a glue stick that is fairly fresh. Like this one is kind of losing the blue. So it may not be the freshest, but we're just going to go with it. And the first thing I'm going to do is put my glue onto my paper. If you are very, very careful with your glue, you might be able to put your glue directly onto your doily. You don't have to use a glue stick. You could use wet glue. Some people like to put a pile of wet glue either on their hand or on their craft mat and then just dab their hand or dab their doily into it and, apply their glue that way if it's a wet glue. I just pretty much put glue everywhere on that and put my doily down. So anywhere that my doily isn't stuck completely, I would need to come back in and add glue, but I think I've got it pretty good. And so you can see we're starting to see some of the text come through that center white part. That's why I chose this doily, so that you can see some of it come through. And you can see right here, I don't have enough glue. So you're just going to add more glue, put it back down, and hopefully that does it. Step number 2 is you're going to cut out this doily. So normally, you know, I would wait for this to be completely dry. And in fact, I'm going to pause this video, cut this out, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I have done one on copy dyed paper, and I have glued the doily down, cut it out, then I inked around the edge on the doily side and on the paper side. And I did bring the ink just around the middle a little bit, put a little in here just because I thought I liked the way that looked. This one is the book page one that we did on camera. I also inked front and back. And then on this one, I brought a little tiny bit of ink everywhere, not a whole lot of ink, but I still want to see that bright contrast of white doily with the book page. So there's that one. This one is the one I did on digitals, and I thought it would look very nice if I put ink pretty much everywhere on it. So that way I get more of a embossed kind of a look to my front of my doily. So we have 3 to play with. This is the doily as we started out, just a plain paper doily, and we just glued them down flat to papers. Okay, so just make sure whatever paper you're using, your doily fits on it before you begin this process. Let's go ahead and fold up 2 of these, and I'll save one for another project. So we're going to start with this guy, and we're going to make pockets out of these. And so I'm going to fold my doily up about there. Usually if I was folding it where I could see both sides of the doily, I'll fold this one for us. If I was folding it where I could see, you know, the doily and not just paper, I would fold it up until I reach that line right there. So see this line right here where it separates the paper from the doily? I would fold it up that far right there. So that's one option. I did make a cute little small pocket here too, so we'll talk about that. But anyway, fold it up however far you want to fold it. Then you're going to fold in your sides again, however far you want to fold them. Just make sure that everything is lined up down here at the bottom. Make sure everything's lined up, kind of matching it so that, you know, we don't have wonky sides. And there we go. And that is going to be our little pocket, and we're going to glue it. Now I'm going to glue mine just like this across the bottom. So I'm going to add glue on the little tip right here, and then from the fold over, just like that. And then we're going to glue, maybe, we're going to glue right here and a little bit there. And then we're going to hold that down for just a minute. You've got several layers of paper going there, so just give that a minute. And then your little pocket is kind of just like this. It's a little pouch. It doesn't want to stay glued. It will if I hold it. But anyway, this is your little cute pocket. You don't see the doily on it except for the back part. So I like to use these as floating pockets, or you could even stick it into a big pocket. You know, you're going to fill it full of tags and ephemera and whatever. But, you know, the back of it does make writing space if you have the paper doily with the white paper in the center. So I think we're getting it glued here. You can tack down right here if you want to. I like to leave that open because sometimes I can tuck an additional piece of ephemera down both sides of that. Just depends on how that works out. So that's your little pocket. This is the other cute little one. I didn't put this one on paper, but this is the other cute little one I made. And so, you know, you can just stuff tags or whatever in there. You could just put a tag, you know, like the bottom of a tag in there and have the tag stick up. Super cute. So that's number 1, or actually that's number 2. Let's go ahead and make one out of this copy dyed one. I was thinking about doing it the other way, but I'm not going to. We're just going to fold it up. I'm going to try to match the points as best as I can. I think that will help it look symmetrical if you match the points here like that. Okay, and then we're going to fold in just like that. You can run your bone folder over it if you want to. And then I'm just going to guess, make sure we're about straight. There we go. And there's that one. And then we'll glue it right across the bottom again, and we'll have another little pocket. Okay, so we're going to move on to some decorating things now. And then that third doily sitting over here, I'm also going to use for decorating, but in a little bit different of a way. So there's that. I'll hold it for a minute just because it's so many layers. But this is a super cute one too. And then you've got this for your pocket. It will open up here. It's still wet from the doily gluing, but it's a nice little pocket, and you can stick things down in the sides. So there's that. There's two doily little pockets done. Let's hold on to that one for just a minute. And now let's go to the tag portion. So I have some tags that I have already done. These guys here, some tags. And normally, if you're going to put doily on a tag, you think about putting it for a focal point, right? You think about putting it in the center. And I have that project sitting next to me too. But for these tags, I want to use some of this, and I want to use some other doilies that we have over here. So let's stick our pockets up there. There's those. And then for these guys, I'm going to try to use some of these smaller doilies, like this is a good option. And so we're going to decorate the tops of these. So these are just digital tags that I've glued to coffee dyed cardstock. And then, you know, you're going to choose ones that have a focal point on them. For the most part, right? You don't want one that's just completely plain. I think you still would have to add a focal point to that one. But what we're looking at doing is just taking the doily and putting it over the top like this. You can fold it down just like that. So let's go ahead and use that one on that guy. We have this one. I want to stick with just the tiny doilies just because I think it works better on the back side too. So there's this one. Maybe we could get, okay, let's use this one on the middle one. All right, so for these three doilies, this is what we're going to do. I have a mess of doilies. We're going to work with the swan one first. Okay, so very simple, incredibly simple, but so effective in the end. We're going to take our little glue paper, and we're going to just figure out where you want your doily to go based on, ooh, super new glue stick. I used all the dry one. Just kind of envision where, yeah, super new. So that will dry in a minute, but put your doily down wherever you think you want it to go, just like that. Get it all stuck in there with glue. And then you're going to fold it over and glue it down the back side too, okay? So for this one, you kind of want to fold it and get an idea of where you need to glue. Make sure you get glue everywhere up in there. Just remember it has a rounded bottom all the way to the edge, and then glue that guy down. So I just folded it flat across the top and over. Okay, so I'm going to set this one to the side so it can dry, and we're going to work on the other two quick. So here's this one. I think that's super cute with the pattern we've got going on there. So I'm just going to glue this one, not all the way down this time. Just like that. Get my doily down there. Just like that. Flip it over. Now for this one, you can go down all the way like I'm going to if you want. You could cut it off and not go so deep. It doesn't really matter. You do you. And I'm just pulling it tight and putting it there. Okay, there's that one. And we've got one more to do. And so I chose tags that had some pretty good focal points on them. And ones that primarily had like this lady who is on the back half, or the bottom half, sorry, the bottom half of the tag. So we're not really covering her up. And then we'll glue it on the back. So what we're doing is we're adding a tag topper. We're adding another little layer where, you know, instead of just using that printed plain tag from a digital and not embellishing it at all, we're adding a little quick embellishment. It's not taking us forever, and it's super effective in the end. So let's cut off our edges here. Oh my gosh, I got stickiness. So let's cut these edges. You would wait for it to dry because trust me, doily does not like to be cut when it is wet. It's much easier to cut when the glue is dry. And then you recut your tag corners right there. So if you need to bend them over and kind of see where they're at, but then you just follow that along and recut right there. There we go. And I'll show you that one when it's dry. And then follow your tag. Follow your tag. I can't really see where my tag is. There we go. And one more. I still have another project or two I'm trying to get in. Goodness, the time flies when we're having fun, huh? I hope you guys are having a great Monday. It's Monday morning, back to filming, all that kind of stuff. All right, so let's look and see what we have for tags now. Get rid of all my little doily bits. Okay, for tags, we ended up with something that looks like this. Obviously, they will look better when they are dry completely. I'll show you again at the end. But the joy of it is you have this lacy doily coming down from the top, right where you would normally put like a topper. And then you also get doily coming down the bottom where you're going to have your journaling space. And I think it's really cute to have that little decoration right there. Right here, the person can even doily journal up here where the doily is. So we'll look at those again when they're dry. I think the glue will be less visible when they're dry. And then for this guy here, what I want to do, so I still have two more projects actually. What I want to do with him is cut out a little piece, a little corner, and I want to make a pocket. So now that we've strengthened this, we can just take our scissors and cut out little corners of it, just like this. So if you did this on single-sided paper, this would work great right here. Let's make this a little pocket on the front. So we have doily up here, but we also have a little pocket right here. So I'm just going to take my art glitter glue and I'm going to glue this up quick. And then I have one more project. I may have tried to get too much done here in this little video. All right, so here's this little pocket on the front. So maybe you have a little scrap of one of the doilies. Yeah, right there. Get that on there. And then another tag can fit down in the front, or a little journaling card or whatever. But that's super cute too. So there's those. Okay, moving on. Next project is we're going to talk about the way that you decorate ephemera, like if you're doing collaging. I have some already made projects to show you. So these ones here, if you look and see, like we have this busy background going and I needed to put this fairy here. So I put some paper doily in there to give the fairy a place where you would see it. Otherwise it would blend in with these flowers. If you want it to blend in, great. But if you don't, then adding a little tiny bit of the white doily makes your focal point stick out more than it would otherwise. And so I have some other tags. Let's go ahead and use this little German scrap girl, and let's put her on this pocket. And if I put her on there just as she is right now, you can see that she blends into the background a lot. I have this Florentine paper up here and she really just blends in. I don't think it's horrible, but I think we can improve on that quite a bit just by putting some paper doily back there. I have this one that I tore a piece off of. Let's go ahead and use my favorite one. No, for time, we're going to use this one. When I have more time, we can be more choosy. So we're just going to take a piece of doily and we're going to glue that on there. And then we are going to add our focal point. And that little bit of white doily, you can play with the positioning of it if you wish. But that little bit of white doily just helps her stick out so that we can see her better. It just gives her a resting place. And in fact, we do need the other one. This one is just too open. So we're going to use this one. It's just too open and you didn't get enough of contrast. So here's this one, and you can see that's way better. She has a definite resting place there. So I hope you can see that well enough. And so you would just glue that on, but just I wanted to kind of talk about how to use a paper doily for collage, because a lot of people struggle with, well, when do I use one? When do I not use one? Anytime that you want your focal point or whatever you're putting on the top layer of your piece to stick out a little more, pop that doily behind it. And I think that helps your little girl or whatever you're using stick out. Okay, recapping. We did these. these. Very cute little toppers, and I love the way the back looked. The back is almost better than the front, but there's those. We did our little pockets. We got a pile of those. We did talk about some collaging. I could have sat here and made 10 more projects, but for today, we're out of time. So that's it for Monday's video, guys. I will see you again tomorrow morning. Thanks, guys. Bye.